Welcome to the capital city of the Chiba Prefecture, nestled on the northern tip of Tokyo Bay, as it plays host to X Games Chiba 2022 as we get set to kick off BMX Park Elimination. Hello everyone, I'm Jimmy Coleman here in the booth, sitting alongside Chris Doyle, and well, we have a large field of athletes to whittle down to 8 moving into that final. But as we get set to unleash them on that course, Chris, we have to talk about a couple of our top contenders here. We started off with the only Japanese rider on the park roster, as well as the youngest rider, talking about Rim Nakamura.
Yeah, when you talk about Rim Nakamura, he is small in stature, but he blasts big. He's got big airs for such a little guy. This is his home country. You know, he's certainly excited to ride in front of the home audience. Just awesome to have Rim here.
Another one to watch out for. He's your Olympic BMX Park gold medalist and an absolute trick machine, talking about Logan Martin.
Don't ever count Logan Martin out. Any course, any time, he can win any contest.
Then, of course, you've got the style master and a 2-time Park X Games gold medalist, Kevin Peraza.
Well, creativity is key for a guy like Kevin Peraza. We've seen him win bowl contests in the past. Certainly think he could do it again here today in Japan.
Well, we've mentioned those three. There's a field of 16 out here today. This is how it works here in BMX Park Elimination. 16 riders on the roster. You're only going to get 2 runs, so you really have only a couple of shots trying to make it into that final. Out of those 2 runs, it's the best run that counts, and only the top 8 are moving on into that final. So we're going to cut the field in half out here today. And take a look at that start list. It is a veritable who's who when it comes to the world of BMX Park out here today, including 5 former gold medalists in this field, Chris.
Yeah, but let's not forget about the rookie here, Justin Dowell, who's going to set this whole thing off here in a second. So it's weird to call him a rookie. He's just a rookie to the X Games, but you know, he's certainly been around. He's an Olympian himself, and looking forward to watching him do his thing. But yeah, like you said, we certainly have a stacked field.
Yeah, it seems funny to call some of these guys rookies because they've been around for a while. It's just their first appearance here at an X Games. 3 rookies in the field with James Jones, Declan Brooks, and of course, as you mentioned, Justin Dowell, who is going to start it off for us here. The BMX Park Elimination, originally from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Bought a house in March of last year, built a ramp in his backyard in North Carolina, very close to Daniel Dare's facility in Holly Springs, North Carolina, and he is in for his first of 2.
Starting things off with the classic look back, showing you that 360 bar. Oh, and he goes for the Twix right there, tongue-tied and twisted. He's got me already.
Right
Twix,
out of the gate.
When you do the bars, you do a tail whip and you throw the bars in between the tail whip. It's I believe that's the only one of those you're going to see today, and you saw it from Justin Dowell right out of the gate. There's another look back right into that whole section. There's that double tail up. He's a goofy-footed rider. That means he rides with his left foot forward, but he spins to the left as well, where traditionally you would ride with that right foot forward. Showing you the flare look back.
Coming down on the last couple of seconds here. I mean, the hits were coming quick here. I mean, he wasted no time at all. I mean, with 16 in the field and you only get 2 runs, I guess you got to get after it in a hurry. And Justin Dowell has just set the bar high to get this contest started.
It's never easy to be the first guy to go, because pretty much the entire contest is then based off your first score. But check this out. There's that double tail whip. Again, goofy-footed rider, so it makes it look like he's doing that tail up the opposite way. There's that flare with the look back. I would love to get a look at the Twix in which he did the tail whip, but he threw the bars in between. I don't think we're going to get a good look at it, but good first showing from Justin Dowell.
Yeah, like you said, being first right out of the gate, and I mean, you kind of get the jitters a little bit, and it's just tough. You're setting the bar, but he wasted no time, and that Twix came early on in that run. I can't say enough great things about how that run went together to start this contest off. I mean, we're 1 in.
It always makes it confusing for the judges when someone comes out and absolutely hammers like that on your first run, because you don't know how to score it. You don't have anything to base it off of. So now the entire field is going to be based off that first run score for Justin Dowell.
Coming up next, we have a gentleman from Youngstown, Ohio, making his 3rd X Games appearance. This is Nick Bruce rolling in.
The newly engaged Nick Bruce. Big shout out to Chelsea, his now fiance. Showing the huge flare double tail whip. He's got his own facility out there in Cleveland that he rides. Posts a lot of big backflip with an invert. tuck no-hander back up into the bowl section, showing you that downside tail whip. Traditionally, don't like to see a lot of pedaling in the bowl. Looks like he's a little bit lost. That landing of that box jump looks very flat, Jimmy. Oh, it's showing you the corked out 900, 540 flare, whatever you want to call it.
It's a tight transition to throw that on, too, and he landed right under the coping there as the last couple seconds tick down here for Nick Bruce's first run.
Impressive showing for Nick Bruce. Get those first run nerves out.
Going back to what you said, that proposal to his girlfriend Chelsea happened right before getting ready to get on the plane to come to Chiba.
Check him out. There's that flare double tail whip catching it. Oh, looks like he just came up on the crank arms just a little bit. Here's that. I want to call it a 360 invert, backflip invert. It's nice and corked out. There's that corked out 9. Some people call that a 540 flare, whatever you want to call it. There is no wrong answer there.
It's just so impressive that able to do that on such a small transition like that.
Especially at the end of your run too, when you're winded.
Yeah, you're out of gas at that point. Well, most people would be out of gas. These guys, it's just another walk in the park, pun intended there. But we'll see how this shakes out here as we take a look at another of our 3 X Games rookies in the field. This is the first athlete to ever compete for Wales at the X Games. Talking about James Jones.
Very excited to watch him ride here today, Jimmy. Never seen him compete in person, so I follow him on Instagram and I see all the stuff that he posts. He is an impressive rider. He's here for a reason. Showing that tuck no-hander in the deep bowl. Oh!
Just got a weird landing there, and that one spat him over the bars.
It looked like he hadn't quite rotated enough. Didn't get the hands on in time. That's a very flat landing for that box jump, so when you land hard. Even if you land at the top of the deck, you're still gonna land hard. So he just felt that right there. Didn't get the hands on in time, and went down hard. Hope he's okay. Hope to see him again for run number 2.
Yeah, that one pitched him forward pretty quickly. I mean, could have been a lot worse. He seemed favoring that left elbow right there as he sat up, but like you said, hopefully he'll be able to move on and continue in round number 2. Justin Dowell sitting in that top spot right now, followed by Nick Bruce. Coming up next, though, all the way from Croatia, this was the only rookie on the X Games Park roster last year, and he just missed the podium, had to settle for 4th. This is Marin Rantis. But again, how about that run by Justin Dowell? Put him in that top spot for now, and it looks like James is getting out of the bowl there and just checking out that left elbow. But again, hopefully he will be able to shake that one off and come back in round number 2. Remember, it's only 2 runs. It's the better your 2 runs that count, and we're cutting this field in half, so an 8 cut is going to be a very daunting task to try to make out here today.
Yeah, you see James favoring that elbow right there. Looks like he went down really hard on it. And it's never easy to be the guy that goes after someone takes a big slam. So it's not easy to be in Marin's position right now, but hopefully he can shake it off a little bit and put together a good run. Watch the tail whips. He's got the quad whip on lock. There's that 360 double tail whip, bar spin, catch bar. Nice tuck no-hander. There's that downside tail whip. You see a lot of the guys kind of going with the same line back in and out of the box jump area. Hitting this quarter pipe here. The front flip flare. First time we've seen that today.
He's just got such great flow right now. Everything's just smooth and fluid, maintaining his speed throughout this run.
Showing you the flare. Oh, and he slides out. Uncharacteristic for Marin to slide out on that flare like that. Unfortunate for him, it's going to really, kill the line in which he had. You miss a beat, you lose the rhythm, it's hard to start up over again.
That was the announcer jinx. As soon as I said that, he slides out right there. However, with the format 2 runs, best run that counts, so he'll have to look to get that done in round number 2. So it's got him in that number 3 spot for now, just behind Nick Bruce. I mentioned earlier that we have 5 former gold medalists in this field. This gentleman is one of them. He got his Park gold medal in 2013 when we were in Foz do Iguaçu, Brazil. This is Australia's Kyle Baldock.
Wow, Kyle Baldock is 31 years old now. When he came over to the United States to compete, he absolutely dominated. It's awesome to see him back out here. Showing that corked out 720 on the hip, downside tail, that's opposite for him. There's that flare with the bar spin, catching the bars early, bringing the bike back, catching good transition, keeping the flow. He's looking a little bit tired out there, Jimmy.
Well, it's that fatigue factor that we talked about earlier. I mean, with the caliber of tricks that these guys are doing, and the hits are coming quick right here. Oh, just looped out there. You know, that's close. Almost hit his head on the side of the coping.
That is a trick that Kyle can do. I'm not used to seeing him mess up on that. The flare with the downside tail whip. That's actually a flare with an opposite whip. But I think he was just out of gas. I think he just ran out of gas. He lost the flow a little bit. Maybe he got lost. He just was looking for a quarter pipe and went for the flare downside whip and didn't work out.
So we move on to Declan Brooks. Again, we keep saying that term rookie. These guys have all been around the BMX ranks for a while. It's just their first time competing in an X Games, and that holds true here for this gentleman out of Portsmouth, Great Britain.
Yeah, showing you that front flip no-hander. One word to describe Declan's riding is power.
Did you see how high that he went?
Lots of power, lots of speed. I've ridden at wooden skate parks with him, and when he rides, you can feel the entire ramp shake. He's so powerful with his riding.
It's the high-speed gap transfer there. Said he's an X Games rookie. However, he was your bronze medalist in the Olympic debut of BMX Park at the Tokyo Games last year.
Yeah, it might just be my opinion here, but it looks like the riders are getting a little bit lost. They get a little bit confused towards the end of their run. They don't have a lot in the tank. Maybe it's just those first run nerves that we're talking about. But good showing from Declan Brooks.
It is a very tight, rather compacted course. So if something goes wrong and you don't land in the spot that you wanted to, I mean, you've got a lot of different things that are in your way. And I mean, the hits, like I said earlier, the hits are coming quick. I don't think they got a ton of practice time either. I mean, this was a pretty quick build out here because this is an active baseball stadium. And they had a limited amount of time for the California Skate Parks crew to get in here and put these courses together. So that could be a factor as well.
You know, I must say the first time I heard of Declan Brooks was he was doing stunt work on the Mary Poppins reboot. I stuck around after the movie was over with my kids, and I was like, who are the BMX stunt guys? And Declan was one of the guys.
So now here we are in 2022, calling his runs at X Games Chiba. So Declan Brooks gets up there in that top spot, so he takes over the #1 spot from Justin Dowell. So it's Declan Brooks, Justin Dowell, and Nick Bruce, your top three as of now. Remember, it is an 8-cut. Moving on into the final.
And Declan just proved the point that you got to stay on your bike the entire time. You have to keep the run going. We got Jeremy Mallet coming in unexpectedly there with the bar spin, the tuck no-hander. Originally from Lake Havasu. I love the way he does his 540s. There's such an old school flat spin 540. Showing you that tuck no-hander. Bar spin in the pocket. Solid double tail. This is a good run so far. He's keeping the flow going. Little bobble there.
Coming up on the final 15 seconds here for his first of two.
Just corking out that 9 with like almost no speed. Just the way these guys are able to fire off these tricks with no speed at the end of the runs is super impressive.
Just a little bit of a hang up there at the end. That shouldn't affect the overall scope of things. So we don't see scores. It's sort of it's a live ranking, if you will. You'll just see the names slide around here on that leaderboard as we move through this BMX Park Elimination out here today.
Check him out. There's that 360 tail up over the hip, so he's got to like 450 it a little bit straight into the flat spin 540. He's not corking it out like a lot of the other guys. There's that corked out 9. Some people call it a 540 flare. I call it both because I don't want to get called out.
Hey, you know what? If you just go back and forth between the two, no one can ever call you out for it. Either way, it looks great. See what this does. That puts him in the #4 spot right there. So that puts him in the cut for now. So nicely done for Jeremy here in this first run. Declan Brooks still in that top spot, followed by Justin Dowell and Nick Bruce. But hold on, this guy's been in the BMX Park game, the X Games, for a long, long time. He happens to own 5 gold medals in this event. This is Venezuela's Daniel Dares.
Daniel Dares, the elder statesman of the field right now. He's very smart, he's very methodical with his riding and the way he plans out his runs and the tricks that he does, catching perfect transition on that flare right there, straight into the tuck no-hander and back to the box jump. He's covered so much ground already, showing you the backflip no-hander, alley-oop with a tail whip, back into the bowl section. He's really covering a lot of ground. He's doing trick, trick, trick.
I mean, and he's getting it done in a hurry. I mean, he put so much into that first 15 seconds of that run, coming down to the final 10 seconds here.
And for being the oldest guy in the field, he's actually very well conditioned. You notice he hasn't lost a lot of speed from the beginning of his run to the end, showing you that flare with a tuck no-hander. If it was me, I would put Daniel Dares in first, but I'm not a judge, thankfully.
So again, as we mentioned before, no scores. It's a live ranking, so you will just we'll see those names sliding around on the leaderboard here as we take another look.
There's that 360 double tail whip that we just saw. There's the flare with a tuck no-hander. It's crazy for me to call that a classic trick now, and he does it in a classic way, but impressive riding for Mr. Daniel Dares.
So we'll have to see where this slides him in the mix. We're halfway through. We'll have the conclusion of round one when we come back to X Games Chiba. Welcome back, everyone, to X Games Chiba 2022 here at the Zozo Marine Stadium. We are smack dab in the middle of round number 1 out of 2 here in the BMX Park Elimination. When we went to break, it was Declan Brooks sitting in that top spot. Daniel Dares, who we just saw take a run prior to that commercial break, finds himself in the number 3 position as we welcome in Argentina's Jose Torres.
Really love Jose Torres' riding. The kid can blast. He's so fun to watch ride. Lots of energy, lots of speed with his riding. Showing you that tuck no-hander. Just that 360 with a downside tail whip. Tuck no-hander back into the bull section, hitting the hip there with the downside tail whip. Opposite air on that steep quarter. Cranking for some speed here. What's he got? Showing you that double tail whip. Oh, there's a line that we haven't seen yet, carving right back into that 450 hip. I love it, the 270 to Smith, a classic trick right there.
Why not? You got that quarter pipe at your disposal. We've seen everyone fired some airs off that thing. Why not throw some lip tricks into the mix?
Yes, I love it. You know, like I said before, thankfully I'm not a judge, but if Todd Richards taught me anything, it's that you're allowed to disagree with the judges from time to time.
You're allowed to offer that kind of insight.
There's that 360 with the downside tail whip. That's an opposite tail whip for him. And there's a regular 2 tail whips, kicking that bike 2 times around. And that was a full pull right there. This is a full pull from Jose Torres.
So that's going to overtake Daniel Dare, so that puts Jose in that number 3 spot. So it's Declan Brooks, Justin Dowell, and Dowell and Jose Torres now at your 1, 2, 3 as we welcome in Australia's Brandon Lupos. He's the owner of 2 dirt medals, but he has no park medals in his X Games trophy case at home.
Lupos is a guy that could do it. He could come out of nowhere and pull the big win. Showing you that double tail up on the quarter right there. Very good with the jumping tricks. He's got the 1080 in his back pocket. I don't know if we're going to see it here. I don't know if there's any obstacles that will allow him to do the 1080 here, but he's certainly a guy that has some very difficult tricks in his back pocket. Looks like he's struggling a little bit here, Jimmy. Going a little bit slow, going a little bit low. Corking out that 9, catching perfect transition. Again, I don't understand how they can hit that small quarter pipe and just cork out a cork 9 or a 540 flare like that. Impressive, but I know that Brandon Lupos has more.
Well, we'll get to see that in round number 2. He's got a dirt gold and a dirt silver medal, but his best park finish at the X Games came back in Minneapolis in 2019, where he finished in 6th place.
Yeah, just corking out that 9, catching perfect transition. And I believe this is his first X Games with a mustache, Jimmy.
And he's rocking that quite well. I mean, that's a hard look to pull off. I mean, that current rank right now, you said he had some slip-ups. That still got him in that top 8 for now. Slides him into that number 6 position. Well, this will be Mike Varga's 6th X Games appearance. He was your park best trick champ in Minneapolis 2019. Got a park bronze X Games last year at Pat Casey's backyard. See what he can do here at X Games Chiba in 2022.
Showing that corked out 720 on the box jump, came up a little bit short, had to scrub off some speed, but he's able to keep the run going. Showing you that downside double tail whip, corking out the 9. He's got a really strong spin. I mean, he can do the 1080s, he can do the 720s on lock.
We did the 1260 last year in best trick, and that got him another gold as well.
The lone Canadian in the field. Oh, the ice pick on the back rail. I love to see it. Classic moves
Did you see
from
that
Mike
thing
Varga out
flex
there.
when he hit that? I want to see that again on the replay. That thing had a little too much give to it for my liking, but hey, good for you, Mike Varga.
Well, as a purist myself, I really enjoy the back rail ice pick, the back rail foofs. So really cool to see Mike Varga. We haven't had a Canadian gold medalist in a BMX event since Jay Miron in the first ever Extreme Games.
I guess it looked a little worse than it actually was. I'm sure they go and take a look at it, make sure it's structurally sound. I'm a fan. I like it when they do stuff like that. It still scares me after all these years, though. You get a little nervous. That's going to slide him into that bubble spot. We say it's a bubble spot because only the top 8 are moving on, and there's still a lot of guys left to go in the run order here, including this gentleman, your park gold medalist from the first ever contested BMX park event at the Olympics. This is Logan Martin.
It's like I said in the intro, don't ever count Logan out. He can ride anything. He can adapt to any course that he needs to adapt to. Showing you that double tail whip.
He's also got 2 X Games park gold medals, 2018 and 2019 from Minneapolis.
Double tail whip in the pocket, showing you the opposite tail whip there. Bar spin, catch bar. He's got a very solid run going right now, Jimmy. There's that downside tail whip with the flare. That's an opposite tail whip for him. This is a strong run so far.
Very strong. With the last couple of seconds here, see what he caps off with there. And again, he had those 2 gold medals. Obviously, we didn't have an X Games 2020 due to the pandemic. And then last year, he missed out because of travel. He had to be in Japan preparing for the Olympics.
Well, he's showing you why he's the Olympic gold medalist. I love this, the pocket air, that's a double tail whip.
Great look at it from that camera angle, too. No one's been able to take that top spot away from Declan Brooks as we wait to see the rank. Oh, we got some Logan Martin fans out there in the crowd.
Well, after Logan won the Olympics, he got a nice little shout out from Nicole Kidman, the original BMX bandit herself.
So that will slide him up into that number 2 spot. So that bumps Justin Dowell down. However, Declan Brooks still sits in that number 1 position. Again, this is round number 1 out of 2 here. BMX Park Elimination. Another one of our former gold medalists in the field. He got his in 2015. This is Daniel Sandoval.
Look at that huge 360, right into the 360 downside tail whip. First one we've seen doing that line today. Sandoval's another guy, you sleep on him a little bit, but you gotta realize this guy can blast. He's got all the hard tricks. He trains, he takes things very seriously. Huge with the flare tail whip right there. Just winding things down a little bit. Boy, these runs seem like they go so quick, don't they?
It's just high speed. I mean, the hits just keep coming.
He's losing a little bit of steam here. Settles for the flare on that quarter pipe.
I mean, that angle right there kind of shows. I mean, this is a really tight course. I mean, the course builders, they have their work cut out for them because they have to design something for both the skaters as well as the BMXers. But I mean, that last angle that we saw, I mean, it is tight. So last we saw, we only get the top 3 on that graphic as of right now, but last we saw, Mike Varga was sitting in that bubble spot. We'll have to see how that looks now once we get an overall sort here at the end of the round. But the big story thus far, no one's been able to take over that top spot from Declan Brooks. Logan Martin, who we just saw prior, moved into that number 2 spot. So it's Brooks, Martin, Dowell, your top 3. Remember, it is an 8 cut going on into that final. Have to see how the rest of this round plays out here. He was a rookie at X Games Minneapolis 2019 when he earned a Park Silver. Was the first Japanese rider to compete in BMX Park. This is Rim Nakamura just sending it to the rafters.
Rim can blast. That was a triple tail, but look at the huge tabletop going to the moon.
Did you see how high that was? It's going crazy right now.
720 over the box jump. This is his home country, and he is not letting down the fans right now. That is for sure, Jimmy. Oh, stalls out a little bit there. He's done so much in this run already. I just love the big airs.
I mean, the height was insane, and I mean, he was just absolutely going for broke there. Look how fast he's going, just whiplashing through those corners, and a huge transfer.
Huge transfer right there. First guy we've seen do that. Some original lines. He blasted every quarter pipe. He did the hard tricks. It's going to be interesting to see where this lands him.
So when he got the medal in 2019, he was the 2nd youngest BMX medalist in X Games history. For that, he had to go all the way back to dirt in 1995 when Joey Garcia medaled.
Love the transfer there. Bit of a pocket transfer, but man, just blasted every quarter pipe.
And it sends him to the top of the leaderboard. Rim Nakamura finds himself in that top spot after a very impressive first run. Wow.
Well, remember what I said, it's not easy to follow a guy after he slams, and it's certainly not easy to follow a guy after he just blasts like Rim did. So Pat Casey has his work cut out for him here.
Well, Pat Casey can deliver the goods, as you see right there with that massive flare. He's got his own impressive backyard facility, and he is a threat in both BMX Park as well as BMX Dirt.
Really hoping that I can see some fakey tricks out of Pat. He's really good at going backwards. Here we go, check him out. 180 on the box jump, up and onto that quarter pipe. Looks like he wanted a little bit more, but when it comes to doing backwards tricks, he is an ace. He's doing the most progressive stuff backwards lately. Really fun to watch Pat ride, as always.
Coming up on the final couple of seconds here. Actually, his backyard facility played host to X Games 2021, where he walked out of there with a gold medal in the dirt event.
Showing you the Vader nose wheelie to end things a little bit right there. Good run from Pat Casey. I think he's got a little bit more, though. It seems like once these guys land a little bit flat or they come up a little bit short, it really just kind of kills the run.
See where that gets him into the mix. Well, coming up next, we have a two-time Park gold medalist before he takes his first run to round out the run order here. Let's learn a little bit more about him in this athlete profile. It's Kevin Peraza.
Okay, let's take a look at the profile movie. Check this out.
Let's go, Kevin.
Hey, what's up? I'm Kevin Peraza. I am a professional BMX athlete. I have been to Japan 7 or 8 times. Every time I come to Japan, it's so peaceful. People are so kind, super nice. BMX is such a fun sport when it comes to progression because everyone has a different way of creating new things. Depending on what you like to ride is how you can progress the sport. So with time, it's just gonna keep getting better and better. My goal as a BMX rider is to inspire the next generation of kids that love BMX and cycling just as much as I do. There's gonna be pressure regardless, but I just try to remember to have fun. Tanoshinde all the time.
Well, you would never know if there's any pressure when it comes to watching this guy compete because he's always got the biggest smile on his face, and BMX runs in the family blood. He's one of 4 brothers who have all competed in BMX, and even their dad rides.
Yeah, I'm such a big fan of Kevin Peraza. He just went huge right there. The Indian Air seat grab into the 360 downside tail up to can-can. Gosh, that's a mouthful to say right there, but Peraza is on course and he is flying right now.
And he is your defending gold medalist from X Games 2021, which is why he gets the luxury of riding last in the run order here.
And Peraza's so creative. A course like this might really cater to someone like Kevin Peraza. Look at that. Oh, going for the G-turn on that hip right there. Showing a little Flatland influence. We're gonna see some Flatland later on.
See, there's more of that creativity that you mentioned right there, and that's definitely played into his strengths over the years and what we've seen out of him in BMX Park. He actually competed in street, park, and dirt last year at X Games 2021.
That was a full pull for Mr. Kevin Peraza right there. He's technical, he goes big, he's got the cool jumping tricks, he's got originality. He's trying to go for that G-turn over this hip, has to let the back wheel down a little bit and step out. I would love to see that Superman seat grab again that he did. That was really cool. Straight into the 360 downside tail up to can-can.
So we have completed 1 round here in the BMX Park Elimination. Still 1 more round of runs to go. Remember, it is the better of your 2 runs that count, and the top 8 are moving on into that final. See where this ranking slides in for Kevin Peraza here, your defending gold medalist from X Games 2021. But the big story, it's Rim Nakamura sitting in that top spot with an explosive first round run, Chris.
Yeah, he had it all. That was how you're supposed to ride this course right there.
He sits in the top spot for now. We'll have round 2 when we come back.
Yeah, put it in your bag or somewhere. Yeah, please, bro. Time went quick.
Welcome back, everyone, to X Games Chiba 2022. We've completed one round here in BMX Park Elimination, and it was Rim Nakamura with an explosive first round run that put him in the top spot. Daniel Dare sitting in that bubble spot right now, and why do we say that? Because only the top 8 are transferring on. However, it is far from over as we get set to kick off round number 2 here. It is the best run that counts, so we still have a lot of time left to figure out who's moving on into the final as we start it all over again with Justin Dowell, who currently sits in that number 4 spot.
I don't know how he has that trick so consistent in which he does a tail whip and throws the bars while in the middle of the tail whip. He calls it the Twix. It's I call it crazy because no one should have that trick that dialed. Absolutely impressive, and good for Justin to be able to hang on to that spot after being the first rider to drop, showing you that double tail whip. 360 with a tuck no-hander, spinning into that foot. He's left foot forward. He spins into the left foot, so that means he's a goofy-footed rider.
See how fast he spun the bars in that 540 on the quarter pipe as the final couple of seconds tick off there, and he sends it home with a flare. But yeah, I mean, he held on to that top spot for a good chunk of that opening round. But I mean, 4th place, not a bad spot to be here trying to earn your keep to get into the final. And I mean, he did that Twix. He did it twice, and it's early on in the run. I mean, that's a gamble doing that at the beginning of the run.
Showing you that double tail whip. It looked to me like his second run wasn't as good as his first. Maybe he's going to hang on to that first run score and just kind of stay where he's at. And look forward to going again later.
So if you missed the first round, we don't see scores as we roll through this elimination. It is just a ranking. So the judges, they had talk it over in the booth, have their discussions, and they rank the riders where they think they should be. And again, top 8 moving on as we take a look at Nick Bruce going massive for his first hit.
Oh, unfortunately, just landed a little bit low on that big quarter pipe right there, Jimmy. And he's having a little bit of difficulty right here. Doesn't look like the run that he wants. Just kind of cruising the course now. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to improve on his first run.
Yeah, with what we've seen out of the top 8 thus far, and he's 2 spots on the outside looking in right now. And then right there, just washing out just under the lip and sliding out.
And you have to understand, a lot of these guys are more of the stereotypical park riders, the box jump, quarter pipe, spine type of riders. They're not necessarily used to riding a bowl setup like this. So it's either adapt or you don't. So unfortunately for Nick right there, he had a little bit of trouble, and you know, you live to fight another day.
That's not just adaptation. I mean, you don't have a lot of time to practice on the course. You also have to factor in the travel, the jet lag. There's a bit of a quarantine period when you get over to Japan as well. So I mean, there's a lot of factors at work here. But congratulations, Nick Bruce, on your recent engagement. As we move on to James Jones here, another one of our X Games rookies in the field. We have 3 of them here in the lineup. Had a pretty nasty slam that first run, but glad to see him back in the rotation.
Huge flare bar spin, headbanger's ball as he was coming in, landed a little bit flat. Bar spin to foot jam on the sub, so difficult. Let's see if he can clean up this run a little bit, maybe get what he wanted to get on that first run. There's that bar spin backflip, wanted the tuck no-hander out of it, similar to how he did on the first one where he missed his hands. So he had to settle for just the bar spin backflip. Unreal to say just the bar spin backflip, but you know that he wanted more. You know he can do more. There's that opposite tail whip on the hip, back onto the box jump.
And again, I mean, he took a pretty heavy knock on his left elbow there in that first run. So glad to see him get out and put one down here in round number 2.
Just giving a pound to his friend Declan right there, Declan Brooks, who's currently sitting in that 2nd place position. Both Team GB riders. James was an alternate at the Olympics. And as we know, Declan Brooks got that bronze medal position.
We got Marin Rantis coming up next as we await the ranking here for James Jones. So that'll move him up a couple of spots there. Not going to be enough to make the cut there, but again, glad to see that he was up and okay after that slam that he took in round number 1.
Well, Marin Ronchis has to put it all down right here.
Yeah, he's a couple spots out there sitting in that number 15 position, so he's definitely got some work to do. He had a little slip up at the end of that first round run.
There's that truck driver onto the box jump. There's that front flip flare landing so perfect. Tuck no-hander. I don't know if this is going to do it, Jimmy. It's a good run, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough to eke his way back into that top 8. There's that flare tail whip. Double tail whip with virtually no speed. Just running out of steam a little bit.
Tiny transition as well. But yeah, like I said earlier, I mean, the likes of what we saw from our top 8 guys out of round number 1, I agree with you. I don't know that this is going to be enough. As we mentioned in round 1, he was the only rookie on the park roster last year. Just missed the podium, had to settle for 4th.
There's that flare with the tail whip. Amazing how dialed these guys are. It almost looks like it's hard for them to mess up sometimes.
See him over there talking over that second run with Daniel Sandoval and Kevin Peraza. The Rim Nakamura, Declan Brooks, and Logan Martin still your top 3. Remember, it is an 8-cut. Top 8 moving on to the finals. This is just the elimination round. If you're just joining us here at X Games Chiba. This is round 2 of 2. So you see that pre-run rank, he was in 15th. Looks like that'll leave him there for now. As we welcome back in at Kyle Baldock.
Coming in with the backflip flare. He could do it, Jimmy. He could eke his way in. He just has to have a clean run. He's got the tricks. Maybe needs to go a little bit higher on some of these quarter pipes, find an original line. Corked out 720 onto the box jump landing.
Hey, he's definitely got the firepower and the depth of tricks. And again, as I say that, just gets washed out right there. And that's just that's a tough break there for Kyle Baldock. Your 2013 Foz do Iguaçu Park and Dirt gold medalist.
Yeah, unfortunate for Kyle. We know that he has more. We know how talented he is, just not his day today, sliding out on that corked out 900. Just uncharacteristic for him because he's usually so dialed.
So it looks like Marin moved up into that number 7 position from what we're seeing on the scoring monitor. We take a look at Declan Brooks for round number 2.
Declan looking good in that 2nd place position right now, showing you the tuck no-hander and the deep bowl. There's that tail up over the hip. It looks like he might be taking it a little bit easy, maybe just rely on that first run score. Cranking big transfer.
Just gapping that out.
He's got a lot of cool, classic truck driver style tricks. Does the double truck driver, does the truck driver to X up, which we just saw. Kind of a classic style from a young guy. And an impressive showing from Declan Brooks. Looks like he's going to lean on that first run score.
Yeah, and again, just to recap, I mean, Marin was down in the number 15 spot, and what we saw on the monitor here in the booth, he jumped up into 7th, so he's in that cut for now. So that bumped Daniel Dares out for now, who has another run still to go, and now Jose Torres is on the bubble. So things are shaking up here in round number 2. This is Lake Havasu City's Jeremy Malott just corking it out.
Whoa, triple tail up on that big quarter pipe. Barspin just trying to keep the flow a little bit. You notice he's pedaling in the bowl section. Not something you typically want to do, but you got to keep your run going. There's that tail whip to late, 360 tail up to late Barspin, I'm sorry. Tuck no-hander on the big deep bowl. Double tail up. It's amazing what these guys are able to do at the end of the run when they're losing steam, losing some speed, but keeping the run going. Just trick. And there's that corked out 9. That's like the quarter pipe for the corked out 9 or the 540 flare. It seems like everyone's doing it on that.
That's the hot ticket right there. He got a bronze at X Games 2021 at Park. Best trick as a rookie, did a double backflip to bar spin to earn that medal. Trains a lot in Menifee, California with Daniel Sandoval. So we take a look at some replays here.
Just corking it out right there on that tiny quarter pipe. Impressive showing from Jeremy Malott.
So we'll see. This moves him up the food chain there. The current rank that you see now, that was pre-run. So again, you don't see any scores. Keep repeating that, but definitely trying to stress that. That's gonna move him up. That gets him into the top 8 for now. So the chess match continues here. So now that bumps Jose Torres down, who also has another run still to come. But you're looking at 5-time X Games Park gold medalist Daniel Dares. He was holding on to that transfer spot when we started this round. He now finds himself 2 spots on the outside looking in. Can he bump back up in this 45 seconds?
Well, there was that 360 double tail up. There was that flare going backwards. We call that an alley-oop flare. Huge flare in the deep bowl, leaving no stone unturned. Back at the box jump. There's a backflip with a no-hander. Going backwards again on that double tail whip. Alley-oop double tail whip on that huge quarter.
I keep talking about his X Games gold medal or hardware. He also got a silver at Park at the Olympics in Tokyo as well. Can he bump back up?
Ending things off with the flare tuck no-hander. Good run from Daniel Dares. Have to see where it puts him.
Is it going to be enough?
It seems to me like the judges are a little bit more generous on these second runs, but I'm not a judge. I'm glad I'm not. So be interesting to see how it shakes up.
So we are halfway through the run order here in round number 2. It's gonna be enough to get him up 1 spot, but he will not get back into that top 8. We'll have the conclusion of round number 2 when we return. Welcome back, everyone, to the second and final round here of BMX Park Elimination X Games Chiba 2022. Jimmy Coleman here in the booth alongside Chris Doyle. We are down to the latter half of the run order here. Top 8 moving on into the finals. This is Jose Torres out of Argentina, who finds himself 2 spots out of contention right now and trying to bump back up.
Showing you that big 720 on the box jump. Jose Torres is so fun to ride. You should see him hit a spine. He can really blast. Oh, and he misses the hand a little bit. Has to settle for the fly out there. Nice bar spin, the tuck no-hander, double tail whip. Kind of having to restart the run here a little bit. Cranking at this quarter. There's that double tail whip, catching it perfectly.
I was going to say, he didn't waste any time hitting the reset button after that slip up there, so making the most of it.
Whoa, and the tail whip flare to end things out for Jose Torres. You know, despite having that little bobble on the box jump there when he jumped in from the hip, that was actually a pretty good run. We'll just have to wait and see.
He was in the mix, and then in this round, the first half of this round, I should say, he finds himself 2 spots on the outside looking in. And I mean, with 16 in the field and you're cutting it in half, and I mean, with the caliber of athletes that you have in this field, I mean, this is a daunting task. This is Brandon Lupos, who's got some work to do here. Currently sits in the number 14 position, and sends it on the quarter and just lands low and can't hang on.
Yeah, unfortunate for Lupos there, going for the huge triple tail up and just landed super flat. Looks like he's got a sore shoulder, a sore wrist maybe, but man, he went straight to flat and just dove on that concrete.
He is the owner of 1 X Games gold medal in dirt and 2 silver, but no park medals. And he will have to watch the rest of this one unfold from Athlete Stadium. That is a tough break right there.
Yeah, that was
but
a
you will
big
see
slam.
Plenty more from Brandon Lupos in future X Games events. This is Mike Varga out of Canada.
Corking out that 720, showing you the downside tail, which is opposite for him. Varga could do it. There's that double tail up on the hip. Flare with a bar spin. It's moving a little bit slow here. Doesn't have the flow that so many of the other guys have had. Oh, triple truck driver, catching it 3 times. Is he gonna do this ice pick again, Jimmy? Oh, you love to see it.
Making short work out of it right there.
It's that corked out backflip with the bar spin. 540 with the bar spin. He's got such a solid flat spin, but he got also cork out those spins pretty good too.
You know, kind of fresh off an injury. The end of August of last year, fractured the C7 vertebrae in his neck doing an air on a ramp that he'd never ridden before, and he couldn't ride for 4 months. I mean, that is a tough one to come back from there, but glad to see you back out here in the mix, Mr. Varga. Logan Martin currently sits in that number 3 position as of right now, which is a fairly comfortable spot to be as of right now. Again, we mentioned earlier, he took gold in BMX Park in Minneapolis at the X Games in 2018, 2019. Obviously, we didn't have a summer event in 2020, and then last year was unable to compete at the event we held at Pat Casey's house due to him needing to travel to Tokyo to compete in the Olympics, where he walked out of there with a gold medal.
And became an Olympic Australian hero. Yeah, Logan's always so fun to watch. He's got his own private training facility in his backyard as well. And it shows. Check him out. There's slow double tail up high as you like. Hitting that box jump, corking out the 720. There's that opposite tail up right there, kicking in his opposite direction. Love this big pocket with the downside opposite tail up in the pocket. You love to see it. That's an opposite double tail whip.
See how he just floated that down whip through that pocket? I mean, it was effortless.
Yeah, Logan's another one of those guys. It's hard for him to mess up. He's always on it. He's always flawless.
Well, in his 4 prior X Games Park starts, he's got 4 medals, so he's 4 for 4. 2 gold, 2 silver.
Yeah, Logan takes it very seriously. He takes his training seriously, diet, everything. Check this out. Huge flare with a tail whip. Coming in clean. Love the tuck no-hander back into the bowl section here.
And again, here you're just trying to make that cut moving on into the finals. So Rim Nakamura, Declan Brooks, and Logan Martin, your 1, 2, 3. We'll see if this changes the ranking at all. That'll bump him up 1 spot, so he'll overtake Declan Brooks. But again, just putting in the work here. Getting a high five there for Mr. Baldock as we get set to bring back in Daniel Sandoval.
Sandoval currently sitting in 6th. That's a pretty comfortable spot for him right now. I'm sure he'd like to step it up a little bit.
He's in for now. Want to give yourself a little bit of breathing room here.
Wow, I love that 360 followed up by the 360 down whip to late bar. Oh, he slips a little bit of a pedal there, Jimmy. Looked like he wanted a little bit more, but he's recovered. Go right back into this quarter pipe. Big tuck no-hander.
Just boosting that one with tons of style there.
Flare with a tail up, catching perfect transition. Oh, and I love the one-handed tabletop. Showing you the flare on the little quarter there. Flare with a bar spin. I don't know if it was his mouth guard, but it looked like he was smiling through that one. And an impressive run from Mr. Sandoval there.
Do it there again, as we mentioned, was sitting in the top 8 pre-run.
There's that 360 down whip to late bar spin on a very small box jump. You see the way that they land, it always looks like they land hard. It's a very flat landing. There's the flare with the tail whip.
So we talked about some breathing room, and he gave himself just that. He just jumped up 3 spots, puts him in the number 3 position. So your 2015 Park Gold medalist finds himself in that number 3 position. But here we go with your current leader who had an explosive first round run. This is Rim Nakamura.
Gosh, 3 bar spins on that transfer right there. Oh, and he stalls out a little bit on that quarter. Looks like he's gonna have to sit on that first run score right now.
At this point, you're in that top spot. It's the bottom of the run order here. Looking like he's just going with the flow here and just saving it for the final.
Yeah, absolutely, because man, that first run was so good. He had the style, he had the lines, he had the tricks, he had the creativity. So it's no debating why Rim is in first place right now.
Yeah, I mean, after this, you've got Pat Casey and then Kevin Peraza, so you're in that number 1 spot.
Just 3 bar spins on that one air, just catch, catch, catch.
When he got that Park silver medal in Minneapolis in 2019, he was only 17 years, 5 months old. So we're down to our final 2 competitors here. Pat Casey on the outside looking in, needing to jump up 4 spots here in this final 45 seconds.
He could do it. Would love to see Pat get into that final. He's so creative. He's got a lot of cool tricks. He's doing a lot of tricks right now that so many of these other guys can't touch. A lot of the fakie tricks. Let's see if he goes for this fakie trick again. Oh, there's that 360 downside tail. Kind of looked like a decade almost, straight into the double tail. I don't want to say he's playing it safe, but he's definitely doing tricks that he knows he can do. 360 to fakie. So risky to go fakie in the middle of your run like that. Cranking at the big quarter. It's that flare with the tail whip. I really wanted him to do the 180 over the box jump and see what he had on the quarter pipe, but it looks like he played it a little bit safe. Maybe try to fall back, get a good score, get himself into the final. But we'll have to wait and see.
Jeremy Malot's in the bubble right now in that number 8 position. We take a look at some highlights here from Pat's second outing.
Love the way he kicks the back end of the bike like that. Showing you that flare with a tail whip, landing nice and high, keeping the run going.
It's gonna move him up 2 spots, but not gonna be enough. He's gonna have to settle for 10th right there. A tough break right there for Pat, but an impressive showing out here with Chiba. So that brings us down to our last competitor, your defending gold medalist from last year, where we had the event at Pat Casey's Dream Yard. This is Kevin Peraza.
Just got a little sideways on that transfer right there. Looked like he wanted to do the Superman seat grab Indian air again, start his run off that way, similar to how he did in the first run. Just couldn't get it done in the second run, but he's sitting in 6th place. He's the last rider to go. We know that we're gonna be seeing him again in the final. Check this out, G-turn over the box jump backwards. He's so creative. He's got so many good technical tricks. Bar spin to disaster, revert in, tail whip bunny hop. Kevin's a guy that, even when his run slows down, he still has a lot of cool technical tricks he can do that really wow the judges. So really looking forward to watching him in our finals.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see the tweaks and the change-ups to the lines when we move into the final right there. But your defending gold medalist from 2021 finds himself into the final here. So there you go. Jeremy Malott holds on to that number 8 spot, getting it done in round number 2. It's Croatia's Marin Rantis who also jumps up here in round number 2. Your defending gold medalist Kevin Peraza in 6th, Justin Dowell and Declan Brooks. We got a couple of X Games rookies in the mix here, making it in the finals, but how about that run by Rim Nakamura to put himself in that top spot?
Well, I love the transfers, I love the height, I love the tricks that he does. He's so fun to watch, and I know that the fans here are gonna really love watching him do his thing as well.
Well, that is a wrap here for BMX Park Elimination. The top 8 are set, moving into the final. Stick around. Plenty more still to come here when we return to X Games Chiba 2022.